Hi, folks. I'm Dave. That's Scott. We are here today on Old Ass Movie Reviews, reviewing the movie classic Saturday Night Fever, starring John Travolta, 1977. The other people that are in this movie, I'm going to go through them real quick because I always interrupt
There's
Scott
a
whenever he
lot of
starts
people
talking.
hiding in this movie.
Karen Lynn Gorney is Stephanie. That's kind of the love-friendly interest. Barry Miller played Bobby C. Joseph Calley was called Joey in this one. Paul Pappy, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. He was double J, I want to say. I think that was the character's name. Yeah, Double J. Donna Pescow was Annette. Then there's Bruce Ornstein, Julie Bafazzo. Martin Shaker was Frank Jr. That was the brother who was a priest that decided not to be a priest anymore. Nina Hansen was the grandmother. I don't know how important she was. Somebody who showed up in this that I forgot was a girl or a young lady named Denny Dillon. That was the little blonde that was telling Tony, "Oh, I love the way you dance. I love the way you dance."
Oh, she was so cute.
She used to be on Saturday Night Live.
Really?
She was really funny on Saturday Night Live too. I just remember when I seen her, I was like, "Oh my God, that's the chick from Saturday Night Live." Robert Costanza, Robert Whale, and the surprise that I texted to you that I had completely forgot or didn't realize who it was. Fran Drescher.
Yeah, very young Fran Drescher.
Very young Fran Drescher.
Of course, so was Travolta. I mean,
yeah. Basically, it's about a kid in Brooklyn who doesn't want to be in Brooklyn anymore, Italian side of Brooklyn, goes to the discos, works at a paint store. That opening walk scene is classic.
It is such an iconic opening scene. Folks, if you haven't seen this movie, watch it. If you don't have time, just watch the intro. It's a iconic intro. I just can't say anymore. It's the Staying Alive intro.
It's a good movie with no likable characters. There's not one likable character in this movie, except the paint store owner who's trying to be nice. And maybe the brother who quit being a priest.
Yeah, I mean, they're not dislikable, but this is interesting, this movie, because it shows basically it is a slice of America in the 70s. Right. It shows the racism, just the undergroundness of the clubs there, that they've got gangs. And what was really interesting, I took time last night to watch this documentary on Robert Stigwood, who was the music manager for the Bee Gees. And
that's an interesting story in and of itself.
Oh, Lord, what was wild about that is he got these songs. They were perfect for it. Damn near everything was a hit from the Bee Gees off of this. And they started selling this album before the movie even came out.
Right.
And here's the beauty. Paramount didn't want anything to do with the music sales. So he made major bank. Man. This is another iconic soundtrack. Great songs. So it was neat to see that this is the same guy that brought us Grease as well, because he had signed Travolta to a three movie deal. So I thought that was really cool. And they were doing Grease at the same time they were doing this. So
no way.
That's what I swear. That's what I could have sworn that I heard.
Just the music, or were they trying to film it at the same? I can't see them filming it.
I don't recall exactly what I saw, and I'll look it up while you're talking at some point. But
that's crazy.
I could have sworn that's what they said, that he was flying back and forth, but they didn't. The documentary was it was interesting, but it really didn't go into a lot. It did show that this was a story written from a society piece. I forget the writer who wrote it. And he just went out into an Italian neighborhood, found the club. He went to 2001 Odyssey. And he just wrote an article about the characters he kind of saw there and in the Italian neighborhood, and then just That article was the movie. That's how they sold this movie, just off his article. There wasn't even a script.
Really?
So yeah, that
The
was what
name
was
of the
wild.
writers are Nick Cohn and
There it is.
Norman
Nick Cohn
Wexler.
is the one who wrote the article in the paper or
That's
the
interesting.
magazine.
Yeah, because they got Grease on here. I know the funny thing about Travolta, just to talk about him real quick, he was in three of the most iconic movies of the 70s and early 80s. It was Saturday Night Fever, Grease, and Urban Cowboy. And
Yeah,
each one of those started their own trend.
they did.
Disco, 50s music came back and it's kind of slicking back their hair a
Hmm.
little bit. And then the whole urban cowboy look,
Yeah,
the whole going to the cowboy halls and riding the bulls and shit. I mean, that's
back when there was still country music.
yeah,
Yeah,
before it became broke country.
don't get me started. That's a whole nother podcast.
So sad. Um, I'm just I just wanted what the heck else? Let's just talk real quick about Tony. I want to
Yeah.
say Tony Manero, but that's not
Well,
right. It's Manero.
this is something I got to point out. It just popped into my head because when we see Tony in his room, there's a poster of Rocky.
Yeah,
Okay. Now,
yeah.
the original director of this movie, I forgot his name, but he was who directed Rocky.
John Badham.
Yeah. No,
Badham.
I think
Badham.
he's the one who took over from. Is that who did Rocky? John Bannon?
I don't know. I'm
No.
just looking at the name for the director
Oh,
on this
yeah.
movie.
The original director was somebody different. It was the director who did Rocky, and he didn't want the Bee Gees. He was trying to change the music.
Really?
Yeah. So he was Robert Stigwood fired him, and
Right.
they brought in this John Badham, who was
Right.
fired off of The Wiz.
No shit.
Yeah,
Is
isn't that something?
Badham's not the choreographer, is it? That's not the guy who
No,
was.
Danny Torrio or
No,
whatever's.
no, no. I mean the choreographer for the Wiz, the guy who was directing the Wiz play and wanted to do it the Wiz initially, and everybody's
The
like, he's perfect, but they didn't hire him or they fired him or something, and
Yeah,
then they
I'm
all
not.
kicked themselves in the ass.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, the way they
No,
said it
that's
in the
not
documentary
the
I
same
watched
guy.
last night, he had just been fired from The Wiz. And
Oh
it's
my
like, man, look what he
god.
brought us.
Well, yeah, it's a well
Imagine
directed
what he could have done to
movie.
The Wiz.
Jeez, could you imagine that? It
Right.
is a well-directed movie. The character of John Travolta, Tony Manero he plays a kid named Tony Manero is 19, trying to get out of Brooklyn. He realizes early on in the movie that his life isn't going anywhere. He wants to change, but he doesn't know that he can change. He's always told by his parents that he's worthless. He's been just in the neighborhood, he doesn't know what to do. He likes to dance. And finally, his brother, who's quit the priesthood, and his parents are all freaking out.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Um,
they thought they had a ticket to heaven.
yeah, he's talking to his brother, and his brother says, "Man, you gotta do what's right for you. You can't live for these people.
Yeah.
You're never gonna make them happy. Number one, but you got to find out what's right for you." And he asked them, "What are you gonna do with this dancing thing? You're really good. You're really good at dancing, and you like doing it." So that's, I think, his turning point where he starts thinking,
Hmm.
I can dance, I can, this is one thing I can do. So he's trying to get out. He sees, you see the moment when he realizes there's something going on. I forgot exactly what it was, but all of his friends are just acting fools. I mean, they're just basically
It's
showing that they're always going to be in the neighborhood. They're never going to leave the neighborhood. They have no want to leave the neighborhood. They like being what they are, never going to leave. And
hmm
you just see it on John Travolta's face. And that's when you see John Travolta was, I think, starting to come into his acting
Oh
chops
yeah.
because he just gives them this look
Hmm.
like, I, I don't ever want to be that you
No.
know he's still not a likable guy at this point. He doesn't, in
No.
my opinion, get any kind of love from me but he's also 19, but he doesn't get
Yeah.
any kind of love from me until the very end when he's talking to that girl in her apartment,
Yeah.
when he's talking to the character Stephanie
Yeah.
in the apartment and apologizing to her for being such a scumbag. But
Well, I want to talk about his arc real quick because this movie, yes, this has got some killer soundtrack,
oh
great
yeah,
dance scenes, great
yeah,
cinematography is insane in this movie. there's some great cuts and editing in here. It's just really nice.
Yeah, yeah. I think I
And
texted you like I can't even
yeah,
imagine the limited technology they had to be able to follow them through the dance scenes. That
man, it
had to
was
be the math involved. The math
yeah. Well,
alone
I felt bad
involved.
for whoever was carrying that camera because I don't think steady cams were a thing at the time. So I don't know how they pulled
I
this
don't
off with a lot of cranes or something.
I don't think
Um,
Steadicams came in until the early 80s.
yeah.
I want to say
But
maybe
with
2 to 84.
yeah. So I don't know. There was a point when things started to get a little lighter and easier to
Yeah,
carry,
yeah.
even for a film camera. But with Tony Manero's arc, though, he's 19.
Hmm.
I we were all like him and his friends, or at least we knew people like
Yeah.
that.
We were
If
all
it wasn't
stupid at
us,
19.
we
Let's
were
face it.
all
We were all
stupid at
stupid at
19. We
19.
all thought like these assholes. We might have even been racist like these
Mhm.
assholes until you learn to be a
Right.
better human.
Yeah, it's
And
all growing. It's all in increments.
they show this. They show this. So you're watching this and it's like, yeah, you're pissing me off. And it's like, you know what? I wasn't that smart at that age. I was
Right.
pretty fucking stupid. I was acting like this and I'm ashamed of it. But it's like, wow.
There's two really good scenes in this that show you that Monero isn't his friends, and you can start seeing the divide very early on. There's two gay guys walking at him and his group of friends,
Hmm.
and they're not violent with him, but they harass him a little bit. They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, fairy," calling him names and fluffing up their jacket and going, I think they call one guy queer or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're all fucking with him. Tony's not. Tony's just watching him like whatever, like he's just like he's not involved, but he's not going to stop him, but he's also just like what the hell are you guys doing kind of thing.
Right.
And then there's the dance contest when he finally gets to the dance contest,
That's a good moment.
and the Puerto Rican dance couple who are honestly are better than him and his
Yeah.
partner. And I mean, and they really did that. Danny Ontario made sure that those people had a better dance than
Hmm.
Travolta and Travolta's the star. That's not how it's supposed to go. But anyway, the Puerto Rican couple win the dance or they don't win the dance contest. They come in second place, and John Travolta's character is standing there like they were better. They were better, and the girl's like, "Well, we won. We won. It's okay." He goes, "No, that's bullshit.
Hmm.
They were better." He goes, this, and I think he even said he doesn't say racist, but he says
He
something else.
says
It's all bullshit politics because
something like that. He said,
the
"We know
neighborhood,
why we won or
yeah,
whatever."
because
And yeah,
I'm
so
the neighborhood favorite or some shit or whatever.
he was a
And
white guy.
he walks over and he shakes both of their hands and he gives them the trophy and gives them the prize money. He's like,
Yeah,
"You guys deserve this, not me."
$500.
Yeah.
Right then in the 70s, that was a chunk of change, man.
But to be fair, now this is where my fair bone kicks in. He should have taken half that money, given it to the girl if he didn't want it, and
Yeah,
then that other 250 to them because that.
yeah.
But it's a good moment where he just it
Well,
shows.
the movie does makes a point of showing the racism at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
It makes a point of showing the treatment of gay people at the
yeah.
time. And what's
And it's
interesting is
real quick.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not it's just a slice of you're
Mhm,
seeing it, and those of us that lived it, yeah, that's exactly how it was. But
mhm.
disco at this era in the clubs was a safe place for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Black, white, straight, gay, Asian, it didn't matter. It was a place for people to come together, and it was Saturday night. It was the Saturday night fever. It was new music you
Everybody
hadn't
can
heard,
dance.
bands.
Mhm.
I love disco. I don't give a shit what anybody says,
Yeah,
but it's all
not all of it.
music.
Let's face it,
I didn't
disco
say
ducks
all of
should
it.
never have been made.
I don't even know what you're talking about, Rick Dees.
But what
So,
I liked about disco, and I was listening when you listen to the music in this, and you listen to other disco music, there's a lot of funk in a lot of
well,
disco.
absolutely, it's all
The
based in
backbeat with the
funk. Yeah.
bass, and I was listening to it the other when we were watching the movie. I'm listening to the music, and I was like, "Shit, the Bee Gees were really, really talented."
Oh, they were at the top of their game, but they had just come off of two shitty albums,
Yeah,
and they came back with
yeah.
this.
Well, they had already had this one in their in their back pocket when people were asking them, "Do you have any music?" They're like, "Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we got this," and it was a whole new type of sound. Like
Hmm.
they were kind of stealing from everybody, and they're the ones who
One
were
of
like
the
kind of bringing it forward.
Yeah, one of the things that, and I'm not going to dig too deep into it, folks. You can go take a look at the whole disco sucks movement that happened and
Right.
death to disco that happened. But they showed an interview with the Bee Gees while all of that was going on, and it really disappointed me because they were acting embarrassed. We didn't realize it was going to be a disco album. This is not disco music. We put this, and they
Right.
did that without our consent. And I'm thinking, motherfucker, own that. That is one of the kick-ass albums.
But they didn't think it was disco. Like
Yeah,
to
but
them, it was just a natural progression.
it
They
was,
didn't
but
call it disco.
the way it was presented was they were
Right.
embarrassed because all this was happening, and like,
Right. No,
well,
I get it.
we didn't mean to do that. And I'm like, yeah, you did. You made a good album. Own it.
Yeah. Well, that's what they should have said. But for
Yeah.
them to come out and go the disco, and I don't think they really thought, because if you listen to all their old music,
Hmm.
it's just a natural progression
Yeah.
of everything they
Well,
did.
they've always had a
And-
funk
Yeah.
layer to it, and
And I think they just um upped the ante on this,
yeah,
and nobody knew what to do. But what I think is so funny, yeah, your world is falling apart. When you
and
listen
yeah.
to guys like Alice Cooper and not Zeppelin, but who else was it? It was somebody like in that same era with Alice Cooper.
Mm.
And they would talk about like, "Oh, the disco sucks," and somebody talked to them about disco, and they're, disco sucks. He's like, and then I'd get into the limousine, when I'm going up to the hotel, and I'd pop in the Bee Gees album, and I'd be like, "Holy crap, that's a good album! Oh my god, how did they do this? How did they do that?" So
That's good.
these guys were picking the stuff apart, like, although the rockers are going, "Oh, disco sucks," and "Oh, F disco," they're
Oh
also
yeah,
all listening to the Bee Gees going, "How in
they're
the hell did they
musicians.
pull this off?
Yeah,
Like, can I add that to it? Can I do this? Can I do that? Would I be able to?" And I
yeah.
want to say I think he wound up recording either, I don't want to say with them, but like at one of their studios or like in a
Mm.
place where they recorded, because he was trying to get that technical sound to something. You just listen to these guys talk about it now as opposed to then. And I think Alice Cooper is probably one of the first guys to come out early on. Even when he was initially when he was saying, disco sucks and oh, go down with disco. He was also one of those few guys that actually came out and said, "That's a good album."
Hmm.
Like even in the '70s, late, early '80s, he's like, "No, that's a good
It's
album."
solid, man. It's
Keep that
timeless.
album.
It's timeless. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to it in the past few days. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
that's
great album.
great.
It happens every time I watch a music movie. It's like, let's have a week of Prince. Now I'm on the
Yeah,
Bee Gees
right.
kick. So it's yeah.
Um, but anyway, he's trying to get out. He's just a nasty guy. I mean, he basically tries to rape her in the back seat of the car. She,
Yeah.
yeah, I think she just grabs his nuts. I think she just grabs his guard, and gives him a twist.
Hmm.
Because he stops real damn quick, and it's like that made him stop and go, "Oh shit, what did I just do?" Like, damn,
But
that's not what I was trying.
I don't I don't know if it's accurate or not, but to me, she was so full of shit,
Oh
and
yeah,
she was trying to be something she wasn't.
well yeah, she's absolutely full of shit. That's why I
Yeah.
said there's no likable people in this movie
Well,
until
and
the very end, because you
I'm
see where
gonna
she's coming from too.
one of my issues with her and John Travolta is just the casting. I felt zero chemistry between those two. I
I don't think
didn't
you were
buy it at
supposed to
all.
feel chemistry.
Well, then you should have, because
See, I
I
didn't
felt
feel
it between Annette and him. I could see it.
right,
And it's like those two got a connection.
right.
There was like no love at all. So I'm like, why would he even be bothering? Because there is no reciprocation here. This shit don't fly. It didn't work for me.
Well, Annette, the lady who played Annette, was Donna Pescow. She
Mhm.
was in a television series back in the late '70s, early '80s called Angie, and that was a really good series.
That
And
sounds familiar.
she was in a lot of stuff at the time.
Yeah.
I want to say she showed up on like Love Boat
Yeah.
and Fantasy,
Oh yeah.
the
She's
the
very
standard
familiar
movies
face when I
of a
saw her.
'70s working actress. And she's a really cool character. I liked her character. You felt bad for her character, but
Again,
everybody,
somebody
they're
else
all
stuck in that
teenagers.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all teenagers. They're all stuck in this neighborhood. And it's just everybody's in a bad situation. Everybody's in a bad. The friend, the hell was the one
Bobby.
kid's name? Yeah, Bobby.
telling
He
everybody, I got this girl, she likes communion wafers. What are you going on? He was such a nervous wreck. Find out he knocked up his girlfriend, and he was just,
he doesn't know what to do, and nobody's giving him any advice because
no, they're
everybody he's
just,
asking is just as stupid as he is.
yeah.
Um,
And Tony treated him like shit, just used him for his car.
well, yeah,
And
everybody
never even
did.
called him, but yeah, everybody was using this poor
Yeah,
kid. And it's just,
and
I
it
felt
was
really bad
bad.
for him.
And the thing is, this movie is a good movie.
It's a
it is
really good
worth a
movie.
watch just for the story and how it all breaks down. And the music is great. The soundtrack is great. The entire character arc of both Tony and Stephanie, to me, is actually pretty good
It is.
because you see those two. You were talking about no chemistry.
I
And
didn't
for
feel
me,
it, man.
chemistry actually pops at the very end. And it
Mm,
pops whenever she just puts her hand on his hand.
yeah.
Because up until then, they're just dancing partners. She's like you said, she's full of shit. He's full of shit.
Yeah.
He's he's just trying to figure out, okay, you're the closest. You're the closest thing that I have to a real friend
Yeah.
at this point. Like everybody else is bullshit. One guy that could have been a real friend died, last night. I just spent 8 hours trying to get to you in New York. So that moment, whenever she's talking to him and he's talking to her, that to me is when they connected. That to me is when,
That may be.
for
I
me,
would have to
that's
watch that
when she
again. It
touches his
just,
hand, the camera pulls back, and it's like, finally they got a chemistry. There's nothing else there other than a friendship. And for me, that's what clicked,
okay.
in this moment.
That's that. I mean, that's fair enough. It just,
But you're
to
right.
me,
There's no chemistry
I
between the two of
just,
them throughout the movie. But I don't
I just,
think there was supposed to be.
and you may be right. It just doesn't work for me.
Oh,
But
okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair,
the
absolutely fair assessment.
movie's excellent. And it doesn't suffer for it. Just for me,
No.
it's like I would have liked them to. I liked what I saw between Annette and Tony, but they were the same person.
Yeah.
And that's what the movie's trying to show. So on a completely, if I take out the fact that I understand why everything's done the way it is,
Right.
just on a personal preference, I would have liked to seen Tony and Annette ride off into the sunset.
I get it.
So,
No, I
but
get
that's
it.
it. That is it.
But
Yeah.
but Annette was never going to leave the neighborhood.
Oh no, of course not. Of
She
course
was
not.
not going to leave the neighborhood,
Mm-mm. Nope.
and
She's
that
going to
would
have
have.
20 kids, and she's going
Yeah,
to be there in the slums.
yeah, exactly. In a bad neighborhood. But the movie now I want to see Staying Alive. I guess it's a sequel. I've
It
heard that
looks really bad.
I've heard that it's not that great. I've heard that it was
No.
poorly edited, and this and that. But it made me just want to see what the hell happened to Tony.
I
You
kind
know?
of want to see it, but and it did bomb, and probably for
Oh
good
yeah,
reason.
it bombed badly,
So
from what
yeah,
I understand. But we'll watch it eventually. Maybe
eventually, not
I don't know,
not
maybe you and I'll
next.
do this. I don't know. No, not next. God, no, not next.
No, no, not at all. Not at all, dude. Not at all.
But all in
No,
all,
but
folks, I do recommend this movie.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
this is the second or third time, maybe third time I've seen it.
Hmm.
I forgot so much of it that it was all kind of new to me again. But yeah, it is much better than I would have ever given it credit for. And every time I watch it, it gets a little bit better. It's like Purple Rain. Every time I watch it, I feel like
It's a little
I'm
bit.
seeing something else. I'm picking up a
Yeah,
nuance
this is one of those
that
that.
wasn't there before, you know?
Yeah, yeah. This is one I've seen. It's might have been third or fourth time. I don't recall.
Yeah,
I've seen it a few times, and yeah, the not this time, but the time I watched it before, it had been a long span between seeing it,
right.
and I was just in shock at how dark the movie was. And then I was
Yeah,
reminded again the other night watching it just how deep, and this is not a fun movie. It is with the music and the dancing, but if you look at
yeah.
this story, this is a sad movie. This is damn,
It's
but
a
it's
slice
real.
it's a
It's
slice of
real.
life, blue collar 70s.
Yep.
It's not French Connection sad. It's not
No.
it's not
No,
it's
it's just
it's just yeah, it's just a blue collar movie. It really
yeah.
is. And they when they initially came out with this movie and they pushed it as a movie, they weren't really showing it as that. They were just showing it as, oh look, we're all dancing and good music and oh look at all the girls.
Mhm.
And that's not what this movie was. And that's why I didn't want to watch it for so long. And I think I saw it with my buddy that I went to see so many other movies with.
Yeah,
not
well,
realizing why I'm going to see this movie. There's John Travolta in his underwear. Oh, okay, I know why. I know why you like this movie now.
he was such a big thing at the time at the teen magazines. He was a teen
Yeah,
idol in the
yeah,
time,
the
and
Teen Beat.
I guess that's idols are still a thing now, but I'm not around any kids, so I don't know. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's wild. What I had seen on the documentary last night about Stigwood was they had to shut down on like the first day of filming because so many fans were crowding the set.
yeah,
And, yeah,
yeah.
so
There is something on IMBD. Da, 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 da. I thought this was interesting. John Travolta ran 2 miles a day and danced for 3 hours daily to get in shape for the film. In the end, he wound up dropping 20 pounds. And again, Denny Ontario, if you guys don't know who Denny Ontario is, look him up. He did Solid Gold, and it was literally a dance show.
no, it was something else. It
Wasn't
wasn't
it
solid
Solid
gold.
Gold?
No, we were looking at it last night.
I
We're
thought it
like,
was a
is solid
Solid Gold
gold?
dancer.
Uh, I'm going to tell you,
Yeah,
but yeah,
please do.
his dance fever.
Dance Fever, that's it.
Yeah.
Did it have the Solid Gold dancers?
I don't know. It might have. I just kind of looked at a quick
Maybe
look.
I'm just thinking. Maybe there's just a segment. I don't know. But Denny
It might be.
Ontario
Yeah.
was a hell of a good dancer, and
Yeah.
he looked like a short version of
He's
John
tiny.
Travolta.
Yeah. Yeah. But phenomenal. Phenomenal. We got
Phenomenal.
so much great stuff from him.
You were talking about the scene where people were crowding. Da, 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 I'm looking for it now. I just lost it because, of course, I went after Tony walks outside with Joey and his girlfriend to the car. Double J. No, that's not it. But,
Yeah.
oh
But
crap. Anyway,
this,
when him and Stephanie are going to the diner, there's supposed to
mhm.
be a scene where you can hear people screaming, and they're screaming to him because they're they're walking to the scene. Yes, Stephanie, here it is. When Tony is walking with Stephanie to the coffee, you can hear girls screaming. It's because there was a group of girls watching them film the scene, and they would scream every time they saw John Travolta. And I was like, oh my God, that's what the screaming was. I thought it was just supposed to be like background noise.
I thought it was it's just New York. One of the
Yeah,
things about that
exactly.
scene, it has. I know this is nerdy here, but it has
Right, no, go ahead.
my favorite edit and cut and camera work of it is that diner scene when they're walking on the street and the camera moves in such a way you actually see them walk in the diner. You never stop hearing them. And I thought it was absolutely
Right,
beautiful. It's like, wow,
right.
I feel like I'm looking inside, like I'm looking through the window at them. And I
Yeah,
thought that was slick.
it felt like the camera was outside watching them.
Yeah.
Like you
It was
said, you
like
were
you were the
outside just,
camera. And it's like, it
yeah,
was really
yeah.
good.
It's a good,
Really
you're
well
right. That
done.
is a really good cut.
Yeah. That
Um,
was neat.
my personal favorite is when he and Stephanie are dancing. He goes into the bigger room and he brings
Hmm.
her in there and they're
Yeah.
dancing. And that camera,
Oh, dude, it's
it's
going
down
around
low
them.
and then it kind of moves up their bodies and follows them around. And that's, I
Yeah.
think, when I texted you and was like, this camera work in this movie
That's
for
where you
these
really see it.
dances is absolutely insane. Because I
It
don't
is.
think they were setting up trolleys anywhere. I can't. I don't know how the hell they did it back then. Those cameras were huge, even when they
Yeah.
because
It
they
wasn't,
had to be
it couldn't
using
have
like
been
a mini
Steadicam. They'd
cam,
had to be on a track or a
something.
dolly.
But
They
how?
had a dolly and people,
I want to talk to the person who filmed it and ask him how.
yeah, it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's.
it's,
I can't imagine how many times they had to do that or how long it took to film that scene just
yeah.
because of that camera work.
Now I've never done anything fancy like that, but I have
Right.
assisted on rolling a camera crew on a track. You'll have the
Yeah.
director and sometimes two people on this little cart, and
Right.
man, you got to be really steady because they're holding the camera.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a lot of practice rolling people around, and they'll set up tracks in a loop, but it's got to be the camera. You can hide a lot of stuff that you think, how is that done? And then if you pull back, you'd see, oh wow, that makes sense. But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was really, that was amazing. I thought that too when I saw that. I was like, wow, how did they film that?
It's just it kills me because you're looking around. I'm like they had to have missed in their edit. There has to be a. You have to be able to see a track somewhere. You know, there has to be a
Right.
microphone or a boom coming down some. And this is the kind of
Yeah.
stuff I start looking for after a while, but I couldn't see anything. And I'm like, that's amazing. That was
Yeah.
just really good edit, really good camera work, really good music. Travolta was starting to become a good actor at this point, and
Mhm.
not just Vinnie Barbarino, which I still think is very funny as a
Oh,
character.
yeah.
I can't
Oh,
watch
yeah.
those shows anymore, but I do remember Vinnie and the Sweat Hogs. They were very
I have
funny.
not watched Welcome Back, Kotter in a long time, so,
I don't think I could. I don't think I
uh,
could do it now. I'd be like, I would beat the shit out of those kids. But that's me.
I was a fan of Horseshack for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. That was a nickname of mine because that my had the
Oh,
hair.
no, you had the oh,
Oh
did you
yeah,
really?
I had yeah. My hair was nuts. Um, yeah, I remember one of my friends was like, "Hey, Horseshack," and I was like, "Are you talking to me?" It's like, "Why me?" Like, "Why am I Horseshack?" You know? I was like, "Why am I Horse?" And then I was like, "Oh, the hair. Yeah, okay, gotcha."
Because you don't look like an Epstein, that's
Yeah,
why.
because I don't look like a Juan Epstein, and I damn sure didn't look like Travolta. Vinnie Barbarino.
None of us do. I would
I could have
love
passed for Boom Boom. I could have probably
yeah,
passed. I wasn't tall enough to be Boom Boom, so
I would
Horseshack it
love
is.
I would absolutely love to talk to John Travolta about this movie and
Yeah,
Grease and just the dancing and the and all of that. It's just he is something else, and
yeah, yeah,
it just he is in a class of his own, and
yeah.
that's
I
what's
would
really
say
cool.
yes to that.
Is he
He's a
the
good
best
actor.
actor? No, but he is damn good at what he does, and he's entertaining, and I'll watch him on screen. So
And that's all you can ask for.
he's
You
got
got to
great
have somebody that
performances.
can.
He's got bad performances. What more could you want?
But what was that one movie? Earth,
Oh, I Battlefield Earth. I've never
Battlefield
seen it.
Earth.
It's
Saw
I
it
guess
one
a
time. It was
Scientology movie.
yeah, it's a Scientology movie. It's okay. It's not great, and he was out of his league.
Is
Played an
it
alien.
worse than the Star Wars Holiday Special?
No, no, nothing so far has been
Damn,
worse than that.
damn. I
Nothing. I
thought we
mean,
had a winner.
no, no. At least Battlefield Earth has a plot. It doesn't have a baby Wookiee and grandpa porn watching Wookiee. That's just weird. Ah,
Yeah, folks,
anyway,
go back and listen to our review of the Star Wars Holiday Special if you want to hear something truly traumatizing.
just so you don't have to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. And Disney did everyone a favor by taking out the Boba Fett cartoon as a standalone link on Disney Plus so you can just watch it and don't have to watch
Yeah,
the
which is the only
special.
reason anybody watches that is to
First
watch
appearance.
the
Yes.
Boba Fett, the first appearance of Boba Fett.
So last week I recorded an episode that you weren't able to come to, but with my friend Craig, and
Uh,
he had mentioned he's been going through our podcast and he's like 100 episodes in or something
he's like,
like
why don't
that.
you guys like anything?
No, no, it's not so much that. It was this is really funny. He's like, yeah, yeah, I know where it's going to end up. We're going to be on Star Wars, Star Trek, or Doctor Who. So yes, Craig, you are right. You are right.
You're
We did it
absolutely
again.
right.
We
I
do it
can't
almost
help
every time.
it's the only thing to compare it to that a lot of people can look at and
Yeah,
go, "Oh, yeah, I get it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Star Trek. Oh, yeah, Star Wars. Oh, yeah, Doctor Who." There's enough people that would watch this that would go, "Oh, yeah, I get that. I get that
Yeah,
reference."
yeah. We always have a reference in there. But I'll give my final thoughts on this. If you're gonna go watch a classic, iconic movie, um, and want to see a slice of life in the 70s New
Yeah,
York, there you go.
good
Um,
movie.
Saturday Night Fever. Love it. Um, it's a different movie. You see
Yeah,
this, you watch the trailer, you don't understand what you're about to get into. This is a dark drama
right.
with great music, great cinematography. It's just cool, man. How could you not like this?
It's a good movie. And before we cut off, I just want to mention one of my favorite spoofs on this movie. The opening scene where John Travolta is walking. He did a Saturday Night Live bit where he's walking and the camera's on his feet and the music's playing. You don't know the way I walk, and woman's
Mm,
and he did the whole thing. And every time he would stop, the music would stop. The camera would pan
yeah.
up to John Travolta asking somebody for directions. He's like, "Hey, I'm not sure where the stage is at."
Ah.
"Oh yeah, John, you just go down this way." He'd start walking. The camera would pan down to his feet
Yeah.
again. The music would cue.
That's
He'd
great.
walk up. He'd stop. the music would pan up, he'd start talking to somebody, and this goes on like for probably a good 3 to 4 minutes, if I remember correctly. And I was
Damn.
crying, laughing so hard watching it because it was like John Travolta. What way to go, man! Your iconic movie opening, and that's what you do with it. Good for you. I appreciate it. Good sense of
That's
humor.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Good. Watch this movie. It's good. I like it for different reasons. There's nobody likable in it until the very end, in my opinion, except the guy who owns the paint store
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
little sister. Little sister is very likable. The brother who quits being the priest is kind of likable, but you don't see enough of him to really decide whether you like him or not.
We're not supposed to
Um,
like any of these people. It doesn't.
no,
It's one of those that don't really matter. A lot of times you do go into a movie and you find people that you can click with and identify
yeah,
with. And that really, I identify with seeing some of these people, but it's nobody. It's like, oh man, that's an awesome dude or that's a cool cat. Now,
yeah,
John Travolta looked cool. He
yeah,
had so much swagger, the
yeah,
suits, the
yeah,
moves. It's, dude, it's just fun to watch.
yeah. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's a good week. What was it, about a week, maybe a month slice of life, blue collar.
Yeah. One thing I will say to our listeners, if you go back and watch this, pay close attention to everything. There is so much going on in the background of this movie
Yeah.
that I am probably going to be finding stuff for a while. It's
Mhm.
because you can see things going on, and if you watch the characters, their eyes are going to these places, and it's
Right.
like, wow. So, what is it's you feel like you're in the club. So, well done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good take on it. There's a lot of stuff going on in the
There's a
background
lot. There's a
that's
lot.
makes you feel like you're there.
Yeah. Yeah. So while there's nobody to like, there's a lot of people to feel sorry for.
Oh yeah, you feel so. Oh my God, that poor girl. Fuck. We won't even go into that. That
No, we're
poor
not going
kid,
to.
son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a rough movie.
Yeah, it
So
is. It's very rough. All
yeah.
right, folks. I guess that's it. You have
Hit
a
the
good
like,
day.
hit the
Thanks for
share, hit the
joining us.
subscribe. Yes. And look us up wherever you find your podcast or your videos on YouTube, Rumble, and wherever you tune in. Thanks again for watching. We've got more music, movies, and we will return to Star Trek shortly.
Shortly, because I'm
Thanks
short.
again.
Again.